Citizens of the world, welcome back to another Keep Yours podcast, where we try and keep a few more dollars in your pockets. So on podcast episode 25, we talked about you today, i.e. your current situation, your current attitude, and your current language to yourself, and you tomorrow. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And this is the quick recap of that podcast. So we'll try and go through some of these quickly, but I encourage any of you who want to look into them further to go listen to the full podcast, get all those ideas, and potentially do your own research on a lot of the things that we talk about here. So the first thing that we need to know is that we can't change the past. So one of the reasons that I started this podcast is that one of my friends said to me, just matter-of-factly, I don't know any of this stuff. No one ever sat me down and talked to me about it. So if we never had somebody sit us down and talk to us about it, then a lot of our ideas around it aren't based off of us actually having knowledge and making educated decisions. They're based off of not knowing and guessing. And based off of the results of that, we come to conclusions that aren't really true, such as, I'm no good with money. Well, why? Have you learned about money? Have you tried to make conscious decisions around it? Have you set up boundaries for yourself? Have you learned about yourself and your spending attitudes and habits and tried to make a better adjustment? Or have you just made some bad decisions in the past and now you're going to judge yourself on that in perpetuity? So the first thing that we need to do is break that cycle of our language and how we talk to ourselves and the things we say, which are often we're repeating things that other people have said to us that aren't necessarily true and don't reflect us either. So we have to stop saying, I can't, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you believe you can or you believe you can't with almost anything, you're right. You're right. So if you tell yourself you can't, then can't is a reality for you. The other thing we got to think about is we got to stop living in the past. If I'm trying to sit down with you financially and go, what's the best situation for your future? If all we do is talk about what we did in the past as though that dictates who and how we are in the future, that's not going to go well for us. That's the equivalent of you got in a couple of fights in high school, so you're considered a brawler, and now you're 40 and you're still carrying around that I'm a brawler kind of idea, even though you haven't been in a fight in 20 years. Not really. It's not you. So your past doesn't have to limit you, especially financially, unless you continue to allow it to. So this goes to what I was just briefly mentioning, which is stop giving validity to other people's opinions. Other people's opinions of you are none of your damn business and also should not affect you. You get to decide your future. And haters are going to hate. Period. You get to decide if you give them validity and pay attention. You do have to do the work. You have to sit down and ask yourself questions about, if you have an opinion such as money is the root of all evil, you have to ask yourself the question of why. It's the way we transfer value in our society. Why do I believe it's evil? Where do these things come from? Where do my other ideas around finance and what money is for come from? And in analyzing those pieces, you can figure out where those came from and therefore make better decisions. And that's the usefulness of the past. Ask yourself the tough questions, come to your better answers. The next piece that's very important for most of us is to practice forgiveness. Forgive ourselves for our past mistakes. We change our view of them to our learning experiences, and we refuse to dwell there. I'm not defined by who I was and the decisions I made when I was 20. I may have some financial constraints because of those, but I'm going to do my best in the future to change those. And the last thing that we've got to do if we want to have a better future is we have to make learning and self-improvement. It's got to be a lifelong endeavor. It can't be, I took one finance class, I learned what I need to know, I'm never going to pay attention again. That doesn't make any sense. The world is constantly changing and evolving. We have to too. Finance is no different. Right? You can't say that when you're 16 and 18 and before you go to college that you have the same resources, same information, same needs, and same decision making as you do when you're 25 and starting a job, as you do when you're starting a family and you have family responsibilities. You don't need life insurance when no one depends on you. So when you have a child, that changes things. So this idea that we're not continuously going to learn and grow financially, if you limit yourself or you limit the amount of effort you will put towards it, you will have a more difficult financial situation. So you're going to need to learn about it. Money's going to be part of your life for life. So new goals, new you. You're not alone. It's one of the first things you need to know. Finance is not taught to many, and it's understood by very few. Take that to heart. It's true. It's true. Even if they're teaching you some finance classes in high school, you can't apply them anytime soon in your life. So by the time you get to the point at which you need to know them, you've largely forgotten them. So one of the reasons that I created this is it's the resource for people for most of the things you're going to deal with. I did an episode on buying cars. You don't need to listen to that if you don't have a car purchase in your near future. You don't. If you've already bought a car and you're going to keep it for another 7-8 years, listen to that when you get close to the end. When it's a necessity, go and pull that information. If I sit down and talk about trust estates and wills, and you're 20 years old and working on your first set of jobs, you don't need a will. You don't have anything to will. But as soon as you have a kid, you sure as shit better listen to the one on life insurance because that child's dependent upon you. And if you go away, you want to make sure that child's cared for. Until then, you probably don't need life insurance because, hey, who wants to be worth more dead than alive? Not me. If you're not taught finance, if you didn't have a better frame of reference, then you got to forgive yourself for the decisions that you've made, because why would you make better decisions? You didn't know any better. So now that you do, now that you're inquisitive about it, now hold yourself accountable to that. Decide that you want to learn. Obviously, you have to decide this before you ever got here. So I'm just going to skip over this one because why would you be listening to this if you haven't decided you want to learn something? If you haven't decided you want to learn anything, you're not going to learn anything. You can go to all the classes you want. If you don't care is the minimum standard. If you don't care, you're not going to learn much. It's up to you. But you can change your language. You can empower yourself with additional knowledge. You can make goals that are achievable to you that you can succeed in, that will therefore give you confidence you can give to bigger goals that you can succeed in. And all of that's available to you. And you can also, at the same time, be compassionate with yourself about how quickly and how fast you get there and where you came from and what you used to know. That's the you today, you tomorrow discussion. I'm not going to let the past define my future. I'm going to analyze it, accept it for what it is, and stop. Talk to myself differently. Be different. So this is the you today, you tomorrow whole premise, is that we have to be able to come and start at a place without all the attachment to it. We can't begin a financial conversation together about where we want to go if every time I'm talking to you about here's a way to get, for example, hey, I'm in Denver. Here's the way to get from Denver to San Francisco. If our conversation every time in your mind is, well, I came from New York, let me tell you about New York. How is that helping us get to San Francisco? Oh, it's not. It's just explaining to everyone again how you got to Denver. Okay. Financially, we can go over one time you get to go over how you got there financially. But every time we talk about the next goal, the next piece, the next thing, if your first impulse is to go, well, here's why. Here's how we got to Colorado. Here's how we made it over. Here's how we made it this far. It doesn't matter. It's the past. Let's move on with it. Right? I don't need to know about everything that's happened in a relationship in the past. I need to know what's relevant for the lessons. The past is good for lessons. That's about it. Most people dwell on those decisions and they don't move forward. And that's how they end up stuck. Okay, so we have to start with the truth. Perhaps the truth is, I have no savings. So again, this goes back to, you can give me the 110 reasons why, i.e., the excuses, right? Or we can just talk about it matter-of-factly. I have no savings. I'm not attached to that anymore. It's not a personality flaw that you need to defend. We don't need it to come with a charged reason. Because I'm not good with money, I don't have any. Let's get rid of that. That's the old you. That's the old mental inside of you. Oh yeah, you're not good with money. That's why you don't have any savings. No. It's where we change the language. Right? In the past, I haven't been good with money. But in the future, I'm going to be good with money. Why? Because I care about it, and I'm learning about it, and I'm going to make goals for myself, and I'm going to try and stick to them. That's why. We have to start from the truth without philosophical reasoning. And we do that by analyzing why we got there. Anyone who tells you money is the root of all evil, why? Why is it the root of all evil? Because some people become really greedy and take advantage of other people? That's true with anything. Doesn't make money bad. Money's a human concept to begin with. It's not good or bad. Money itself, if I give money to an orphanage that allows children with whose parents aren't around anymore to feed them, is that a bad thing? Then how can money be the root of all evil? Evil was around long before money. Cain killed Abel before money existed, if you want to go biblical on it. Okay, so if Cain was killing Abel and that's evil, then that was before money, and therefore evil existed long before money. Money's not the root of all evil. Money is a transfer of value between us. It's what we've agreed upon, and it makes sense. If you want to understand that more, go back to listen to some of my prior podcasts. Changing the language that you use to talk to yourself and to others is a key to your transformation process from having a terrible financial relationship with yourself to having a good one. It starts with changing all of these words. Instead of saying, I'm bad with money because I have no savings, I'm bad with money, we say, easy change with all of it. Up until now, I don't have any savings because I haven't been good with money. But in the future, I'm going to do better. And you can pretty much use that phrase for almost anything you want to do to change your language. Change the cannot do. I cannot do it. That is something you've decided to say. Change that from being you to simply being a prior behavior that you engaged in. In the past, I treated myself as though I was not good with money and squandered it all. But in the future me can be different. You don't have to be your past. You're not yourself. And the last part of that piece is forgiving yourself to move on. You have to say, I'm at peace with that. Forgiveness works with that with everything, whether or not you know about money or some other wrong that somebody has perpetuated upon you that you're going to hold on to. If you hold on to it now, that's yours, and you have to live with that every day. I don't like that. I'd rather forgive and move on. That doesn't mean I've completely forgotten about it. That doesn't mean I'm going to allow the people who, let's say, borrowed money from me in the past and didn't pay me back, I'm not going to loan them money again. But I'm also not going to beat myself up over the decision that I made at that point. To say that, well, I'm no good at picking who should borrow money, so I'm never going to loan anybody money again. That's not the right answer either. Forgive yourself for the past mistake. The past you didn't know as much as the current you. And continue just moving on being the best self. And also, don't live in the past. So this one's going to be one for everyone with a lot of student loans. A lot of people are going to be hard on themselves, say, I should have. And I'm trying to get to those people before they make the student loan decisions so that they don't do that as much. But if you're one of those people who took out a lot of student loans, well, guess what? Back to that thing. You're not alone. A lot of people did it. That's what they told everyone to do. So don't be upset about yourself for it, because that's not going to do any good either. Acknowledge that you made the mistakes in the past. Try and do your best moving forward. If all you ever do is sit around and dwell upon, I wish I would have never made that decision, that cannot change anything. The decision's been made. The past is the past. You can decide what you're going to do in the future. You can decide, hey, I'm going to stop thinking about that past. I'm going to start thinking about what I'm going to do next. I'm going to start thinking about my side hustle so I can get this loan paid down. What could I do for a side hustle? What else could I learn? What else can I get into so I can get rid of this debt? You get to choose the future life that you're going to lead. That happens on a personal level. That happens on a financial level. That happens on every level in your life. You can choose to do work. You can choose, to get better. Or you can choose to do nothing, be the same you, get upset when other people are working on themselves, get upset when somebody else is obtaining more knowledge, or not. You can also get very, very clever about who you allow to have impact in your head on their opinions. Again, haters are going to hate. Misery loves company. Most of the time, people are spitting hate. They're projecting. It's their own insecurity. It's their problem. You don't see a billionaire going around touting about how bad being a billionaire is, because there's not bad things about it, right? You see everybody else hating on the billionaires for being billionaires. But what if you want to be the billionaire? Are you going to listen to the haters or the billionaires on how to get there? If you just want financial independence, don't listen to people who have none, who will rail about the system, how it's set up against you, you can never succeed. They decided to say it, so it's true for them. Don't let it into your head. And don't let into your head the things they say about you. Those aren't true. You're no good with money. You don't know nothing. You're a dummy. If you believe that, it becomes true for you. But you can also realize they're projecting their insecurity onto you and ignore that. If you've had problems in the past, if you haven't been good at setting goals, then this one from Jordan Peterson's one for you. Start by aiming small. You don't go into a gym and look at the box jumps that start at 16 inches and then go to 24 and then go up to 30 and 36 and 40 and 44 and 50. You don't walk into that and go, wait a minute, that's a huge platform. And you see some guy who's been in there working out for 5 years jump to the highest one. You don't walk over there and be like, oh, I'm going to try to jump to the highest one. Oh, I didn't make it. Guess I'm no good at box jumps. It's irrational. But that's often what we do with our financial goals. Well, I want to save for a house. That's a lot of money. That's a huge chunk. Right? That's a big, huge goal to get into. How many years is that going to take you? And anything that's more than, digits you can count on your fingers and toes in terms of months, it's going to be really hard. Really hard to stick to that the whole time and stay the course because it's long. So instead, hey, I just want to jump up on this little box jump. Hey, look, I did it. I've succeeded at the small box jump. How many can I do? I can do 10 here. Okay. Then I can go to a little bit higher jump. Okay. Now I can do that jump. How many times? Oh, I'm going to keep practicing. And you work your way up and you work your way up. It's the same with any muscles. It's the same with finance. And I talk about this a lot in all my podcasts. Lots of things we need to do. Start small, increase the muscle size of it, whether it's focus or finance. We start small, we increase our growth. Small goals build small successes, which allow you to build bigger goals and bigger successes. And that is the plan. So you get to decide. It's your future. how much you're going to look back on your past, the learning mistakes, the language you use for yourself, and the future that you want to live. And you get to decide that. And that's the bottom line. Thanks for listening.